So when I started with the earth energies and working with people trying to understand their energetic system, one of the things that I learned is that there are places where our energy system is not optimally happy. Yeah, there are lines, energy lines I found that actually in Europe were called cancer lines because they induced all kinds of diseases, amongst other cancers. And so it was obviously that there were apparently lines that were not healthy. And that went against my belief because I believe that Mother Earth is creating basically an optimal environment for all that is living on her. Otherwise, that would be crazy to create something that's not in alignment. So that means that if that's true, then there must be another reason why those energies are not good for us. And that brought me to something that a lot of people have been studying, to the grid systems that are known as Hartman, Curry, Banker grid. So the basic, I call them the basic grids that are everywhere. They are small grids, but if those grids are off balance, they are inducing problems in people. Well, it turns out that we are the ones who throw them off. It's our emotions, our belief structure, our not being in alignment with the energies of Mother Earth that throws them off. And then they become detrimental. Yeah? It's not that they are detrimental because of what they are. No, they are disturbed lines. So looking at those things, I began to realize, but there are still not completely all the answers, because what about those dogs that they were kicking off? And why are they selecting those places? Well, it turns out that there also are lines that you should not stay too long on. They are there to use to stimulate your energy for healing or to relax on, but not to live on. And then I realized we have lost that contact with our world in such a way that we are so stupid that we build on places where we are not supposed to build. Yeah. So that is how it began to grow for me. Now, you cannot continue to study earth energies if you not begin to realize that there are many different grid systems, each having their own function. So some of them are the ones that I described, but there were also lines that had to do with the crystalline character of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a crystalline being, right? It's all crystal, stone, sand doesn't matter, it's all stone that is crystalline in nature. So we live in a crystalline environment, so I started to look at the crystalline grid systems. But there's another important point, that Mother Earth provides actually those energies that we need. So there are energies that are resonating with our meridians. There are energies that resonate with our chakra system. So those energies are primarily earth energies. And we, being a child of Mother Earth, need to resonate with those energies of Mother Earth. They're a part, an integrated part of us. So I began to realize more and more that we need to listen to Mother Earth, feel her energies, feel her gifts, and by using the gifts, we can harmonize our system. So I moved from healing, thinking that a modality A, B, or C would do it, into let me learn from Mother Earth so that I get the frequencies that are natural to our system so that we can balance that more in alignment. Yeah, it's actually a functional human system is a system that is in alignment with the energies of Mother Earth. And I know that's not a normal way of looking at healing. I'm quite aware of that. But that is actually the power of looking at the energies of Mother Earth. And then we come to a very important group. Every living being that exists needs to have an information system that makes it possible to exist. And nowadays there are terms for that, and we call that the morphogenetic system. Yeah? Morphogenetic. Genetic is at generating of the form. Yeah? So in order for us to have this form, there needs to be an information system from where the message comes. That our DNA, that's an antenna, is receiving and then translate that into the form that we are. One of the funny thing is, in the time that I was studying shamanism, one of the things that I found so fascinating is shape-shifting. Yeah, does that really exist? You know, can you imagine that you can shift it to something else? I was so fascinated. I never got the answer until I started to study morphogenetic system, and realizing on top of that, that those antennae, our DNA, are not so different from most other species. You know, if you realize that even a banana has a 60% the same genes as we have, that a worm has 70% the same, and Drosophila, fruit fly, also around 70%. And then you go into the mammals and you go into 80–90%. And you know, we know that some of the apes have up till 99% similar. What does that mean? It means that you have to shift only a little bit your antennae into another field, and then you literally can become that. That is what shapeshifting is. They were able to use the energy, their antennae, to tap into the energies to allow them to shift literally the form. So every species that exists has a morphogenetic system. That means that if you want to see whether some of the, what you can call invisible beings really do exist, then you need to go and look for the grid systems, the morphogenetic grid systems. And that is how I started to work with the dragons, because people challenged me and they say, hey, but you believe that every species that exists has an information field in order to make it possible for that species to exist? Now, go out and check whether there is a unicorn field or there is a dragon field. And I was like, yeah, come on, it's not there. So I went out with the absolute disbelief of their existence, but I found the grid systems. And that is how I started. At a certain moment, like, wow, if that's true, and let me look a little bit more. And then, yeah, it's more intuition that makes me decide which species I'm looking at. So I've studied whale grids and dolphin grids, also jaguar grids. I have studied eagle grids because I like eagles, so I wanted to know where the grids are and how that feels, you know. Because what is the beauty of those vortexes of a morphogenetic system? That is, when you are on a vortex, you tap both in the potential and that what is realized of that potential. Yeah. And that's a very key point, because when you really sit on those places and you develop more your sensitivity, you feel that there's a lot of species, especially the human species, that is way below their potential. That field there, that holds the full potential of humans, is so much bigger than what we actually have realized at this moment. That is truly exciting, knowing that there is still so much more possible. And that is actually true for almost every species, not to the same degree as humans. I think they're the most underdeveloped species, I think, that we have on our planet, to be honest, with respect to potential. Huh? But if you look at all the other species, because everything is related, you see that if certain systems are not functioning, it's like as if it limits almost everything. And that is why we are living in a very limited world.
How much does one grid system affect another? So, because we were initially talking about dynamics before within the metaphysical ecosystem, and so you're saying that there is like a, is there a human grid system that is basic? So, okay, so we have this as our kind of originator informational system, and right, with that system is much vaster than we're utilizing, and that's the gap between where we are and where we could be. And if we start to take more ownership of the information that's in our own grid system, how much or does it impact other grid systems for other biological or metaphysical entities?
You're absolutely right. Everything is interacting. Realize that if you look at Mother Earth, there is one field. There's one information field that holds the potential of what Mother Earth can be. So she has realized a certain amount, and you can say many people feel that they move into a new phase. This means we are actually in a phase where more of the potential of Mother Earth can be realized. Now, within that system, every plant and animal and humans are part of that system. So you may understand, there is a saying that you can bring a system to that overall frequency depending on what the lowest frequency actually is. Yeah. So we are the ones that limit actually the evolution of Mother Earth.
Mm.
It's not the animals. It's not the plants. It's not the trees. It's us. And if you are really willing to train yourself, and everybody can do that, to sit on a vortex of, let's say, an elephant, of its information system, then you see that that elephant is pretty well functioning as it's supposed to be. It doesn't have its optimal, but it is not a disturbance. Now, do the same thing for the human grid systems, and you will be shocked. Now, because we are an integrated part of Mother Earth, it means that every species is functioning within the crystalline frequencies of Mother Earth. We are depending on the crystalline frequencies. Yeah? So that's why it's important. It is not by accident that there is so much interest in crystals, crystal skulls or stones, because they are all holding information of Mother Earth that we are supposed to be in alignment with. Yeah? So those and other grids and the information system are all interacting with each other. Now, if you go and measure crystalline grids, then you see that the grids, the basic grids, not the higher frequency ones, but the basic grids have disappeared in towns and in cities, not in nature. If you are a good dowser or a sensitive person, you follow those grids, in nature, and suddenly you come to, for example, the Etten of Sedona. It's changed now, but there was suddenly nothing. Same here. So we have worked with a large group of people to activate and see whether we, with intention, could stimulate the fields so that those energies could restore itself, and it is possible. That's the reason why I created the Crystalline movement. The business actually has two goals, so that is to stimulate the restoration of those grids in the city so that everyone in the city can better function, and to stimulate your personal development, because we can use the crystalline energies to go to any level of frequency and stimulate the realignment with our purpose, with our potential. So without proper functioning crystalline energies, you see that we literally, as a species, begin to function in a more limited way, become more vulnerable for all kinds of disease and dysfunctionality. And that's why you see that on the average, the problem in cities are bigger than they are when people are living outside. Yeah, it's a pure nature thing that there is still more harmony than there is in the city. Doesn't mean you're going to bring it back in or make changes that brings more harmony into it, but that's a different story.